You see?
Well, it's all the same, right? You go to
Yeah.
Target and you go down the girls' aisle. It's all pink. Pink
Yes.
princess, tiaras, boas, high heels.
Bubblegum cell phones.
Nothing to do with
Yeah.
motherhood or nurturing or nature or
No, makeup,
anything
sex.
that a
Yeah.
woman is put on the earth for. It's all princess programming. And then you go down the boys' aisle and it's all blue and Star Wars and Transformers and UFC fighters and war. So what we're looking at is a princess warrior programming because the boys have to rescue the princess, right? Princess
Yes.
is not good for anything but getting in trouble and needing help. And what we have today, we don't really have any monsters to slay other than financial monsters. So what the boy have to do is go make the money. Go out
Mm-hmm.
and fight the good fight in the world to bring home the pink cell phone or whatever it is that princess is to think she deserves.
I mean, we were just at the costume store, and there was a little boy there, and he was like, I want a Star Wars costume. I want a Star Wars costume with a gun. They make a costume with a cowboy and a gun. I want a gun. I want a gun. And I mean, this little kid was, 4 or 5. I don't know, maybe a little older. And we just see it. They're running around in their Clone Wear, Clone War outfits, Clone War victory, it says. And then the girls in their Hannah Montana wear. I mean, we honestly had no idea what we were going to find when we went seeking Hannah Montana. We had maybe just
I
kind of
didn't even
Yeah.
know
noted.
who Hannah Montana was. I was walking down the stores doing my shopping, and I keep seeing this face. This face every aisle. What is this
That
face?
face is more than the teeth,
I'm like, this girl's on more stuff than anything. And so I started kind of cataloging in my mind how many products are there with just this one person. And you couldn't even go one aisle. It was in every single section, the perfume, the school aisle, the party supplies, the bedroom supplies, the
Well, as we began to make this film, we were like, do you think there's Hannah Montana food? And just as we were in there filming, they came out with the brand new Hannah Montana cereal. And I mean, it was right as we're filming in all these. We went to grocery stores. We have now been to 3 countries and have yet to find a Hannah Montana free zone. We found her at Hobby Lobby, at the auto
In other
parts.
countries as well?
In in London, we were given Hannah Montana cupcakes. We saw Hannah Montana microphones and wigs for sale at the grocery store, at Tesco. Where else?
Wow.
Australia. And
Oh
so
my
we have this
gosh.
all documented, and we did just release I put it up there, our shortened version. This was actually a working version, but I wanted to get it up for our show together here on Wash
Yes.
Your Brain. So you can see Hannah World now on freemantv.com and get an idea of just because we have an hour's worth of footage, one after another, and we have never shown the same product twice.
Well, that's what I watched that, and and of course I know what's going on. I can see it everywhere. I was in shock. So was Shane. We were both like, "Oh my God!" And it just kept going and going and going. And the products, it never stops. I mean, it's everything from panties to toothpaste to SpaghettiOs to cereal to
SpaghettiOs, yeah.
anything and everything. Yeah, the food, even the
So,
food.
so what we're looking at here is the use of ritual paraphernalia to function as an aid to the imagination. And during an evocation ritual, a magician will envelop all of his 5 senses, the 5 points of the pentagram,
Yeah.
with the essence of the entity that he wishes to conjure. And
Oh
all the
my
senses
God.
are employed. So, obviously there's a princess product for every one of your senses and more. And the
Yeah.
fundamental patterns of ritual is emotion plus, sentimentality. So imagine your typical tiny princess watching her favorite movie. She possesses all the elements of a well-run ritual, the clothing, the altar. She's probably got a princess cup, a wand, anything.
Yeah.
She's got all the senses enveloped in this princess entity, and it's working.
And you can see this in Halloween, where,
Yeah.
even though there were all these Hannah Montana outfits that you could buy, along with her own clothing line or wigs and things of that nature,
Yeah.
the microphone, they still had a separate Hannah Montana costume for Halloween. And
Wow.
Right next to the monarch butterfly costume.
right next to the monarch, yes. And
Yes.
monarch programming is what we're talking about. We could get to that. But I wanted to say that how much they had captured our imagination can be witnessed in Halloween, in that no one now comes up with their own creation of a Halloween costume and only depicts themselves as their favorite Hollywood character.
Yes.
So they have completely captured the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, taste, touch, smell, hearing, sight, and memory are all manipulated in this atmosphere to create the desired entity. And also, familiar songs like A Whole New World or Kiss the Girl become literal mantras.
Oh my gosh,
That's
yes,
insane.
yes.
Or like the one they sing in Tangled, which is crush your mother's soul like a grape.
Tangled is a great example of the
Wow.
destruction of the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you've seen it, but it's Rapunzel, and she's kidnapped by the evil queen and raised as her daughter because the evil queen, or sorceress, or whatever you want to call her, she's looking for eternal life, and she finds it in Rapunzel's hair. So she has to keep Rapunzel close to her, or she'll deteriorate. And so she's keeping this little girl locked up in the tower and
Sucking her soul.
sucking
Look at
her
all
soul.
this ritual everywhere too. It's like so blatant.
But think about how this would make a young girl feel about her mother, who's trying to protect her and keep her from going out with, the boy comes along and he's a scoundrel, a thief.
Mm-hmm.
He's no good, really. And he comes along trying to get her out of the tower, and mom says no, and she thinks she knows better than mom. So she goes off with him to the city, or Babylon, which is what, every city is based on, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is the apostate city of Babylon, which was the center of the first attempt to create a one world government
And a one world culture.
and a one world religion in the Tower of Babel, not based on God, but based on scientific, accomplishments of men.
And then here she is being hoarded by her unreal mother, and so then the concept comes to the child that my mom is an evil woman that is sucking my soul because she won't let me go out with the thief. But secretly, I'm actually a princess, and when I escape this evil witch of a mother, who they sing the song "Soul, Crush Her Soul Like a Grape," I will then be a princess and can escape all of this.
In the city. So,
and of course, where do you escape? But you go straight like Hannah Montana out of your trailer onto the stripper's pole, as she did at the Teen Choice.
well, that's if you're unlucky. But if you notice, Rapunzel's sigil is a 8-pointed star, that sun sigil. So the 8-pointed star in Aleister Crowley's system of magic stands for Babylon.
Wow.
And so you're taking the feminine out of nature, out of her element, and her source of female power, which is the earth, and putting her in the city 12 feet or 20 feet or more above the ground on concrete in high heels. How much more disconnected can you get from your roots than walking through New York City in Manolo Blahniks like Carrie?
Yep. Totally disconnected.
And even she says in Sex and the City, which I've seen every episode, I think I know what I'm talking about. It's written by homosexual men. If you've seen the sequel to Sex and the City 2, it starts with a gay wedding.
Yep.
And Liza Minnelli singing "Single Ladies" by Beyonce, and it just gets worse from there. But these women are not women. They're, I don't know, they're scary. They're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse because they have no maternal instincts, no feminine qualities other than
the princess program.
The princess
keeping
program.
The shoes in the oven.
Yeah, even Carrie, she says, "I don't cook. I keep my shoes in the oven."
Yeah, exactly. So, look at what Disney's doing. It's targeting, babies, even toddlers, very, very young.
People look at the subtle things, like the advertisement for Tangled. Her hair wrapped around this thief actually spells the word sex. And so people are looking for these little subtle programming techniques, what they consider subliminal programming, when actually it's right out in front of your face in the storyline that you should be considering, not the little subtle sexes that are snuck in.
Yeah.
That's just for sales. But the entire storyline has to be analyzed. You have to look at things like The Little Mermaid and see that she sold her only talent, her voice, to a black witch octopus in order to be combined with a man that it couldn't care less about her.
Yeah, he didn't do anything for her in that movie. She saved his life. She gave up everything to be with him, and then he goes off and marries the Black Witch anyway.
The sequel got into a lot more of what you were talking about alienating the mother and daughter relationship. The daughter Melody was locked up from the ocean because Ariel was afraid that she might be called to the ocean. her own fears kept her from the thing that she loved, and she grew to hate the mother and ended up going out with the bad witch.
Mm. And Cinderella 2 gives you a glimpse of princess programming in that when the curtain falls on so Cinderella is the story that everyone wants to live because
Yes.
nobody has any money. And so they're all expecting this prince to come along and rescue them and give them everything that they want and take them away from their evil family. And so
Exactly.
live happily ever after in Cinderella 1, but open credits on the sequel, Cinderella 2, and Prince Charming drives her up to the castle and pretty much drops her off on the doorstep and says, "See ya, I gotta go to work."
Yeah.
I don't never seen that. So he's not even in the story. And she has to sit there in her castle and learn what it means to be a princess, which basically turns out to be just party planning.
Yeah.
And then they have the Princess Protection Program, which was another movie using Major Mason as the protectorate of all these princesses. Now, here's the question. Why promote monarchy in a democracy or a republic, whatever way you want to look at it?
What do American girls have to do with being a princess?
And how close was that Cinderella story to this actual Kate and William wedding? They were almost dressed in the exact same fashion.
Well, they even
Oh my God, yeah, totally.
equated her to Cinderella being rescued by the prince because she's a commoner. They called her. She's a commoner. Kate Middleton. A romantic story, a love story, blah, blah, blah. These two kids, I feel bad for them because they are not in love. I don't
Yeah.
even know if they like each other, but if you've noticed an interview of this ultimate love story, they're awful. All they say is, "We're really good friends. We're very good friends."
He's a
And then
nice
she
guy.
was given that sapphire ring that was given to Princess Diana. I mean, that would creep me out.
Yeah. That's a.
So what we're looking at here is the true life princess story, which is just awful because after you have children, you're no longer needed.
Yeah.
Even Princess Diana called herself a broodmare for the royal family.
Yep. Yep.
And after she gave him 2 heirs, then they bumped her.